Hey, darlings. I hate it. I'm tired of it. Alice whispered through the teeth, approaching the intersection. She was married for only 2 years, and it seems that she is already 20. Alice was forever in a bad mood and felt that she was terribly tired. Tired of eternal quarrels with her husband, especially because of Natasha, his employee at work. This morning, Anton again said that they are doing a project together and pretending that they are just friends. He found a fool. Alice made him another scandal, and also said that if he hears about her again or sees this Kimura next to him, he will throw things at his husband from the 4th floor. He was also offended, said that he was not married for such a thing. Then there was another Alice, the one that is the best. But Alice didn't listen to him. She only regretted that she had no evidence of betrayal, and this made her even more angry. Alice thought that she was married out of love. She and Anton were really good together, even cozy somehow. She was waiting for a meeting. She was bored. Probably it was love. And now she was annoyed by everything. And it's not only about Anton. Alice argued with her mother because she persuaded grandmother Dasha to rewrite her apartment to Alice's brother, Slavka, with his attached Tatiana. Well, what do they have a boy double and not enough for a rented apartment? They could live with Tanya's parents. Alice, of course, would not live without a house. Grandmother Lida, the mother of the father, paid half of her mortgage, but the second half must be paid. And if they sold grandmother's apartment, they would divide the money. Alice would have been paid, or maybe she would have bought a car for herself. And at work, the boss warned Alice today that she should not be rude to customers, otherwise she would be fired according to the article. And she is not rude, almost. Now she has only one client and a problem. Alice works as a real estate agent. So this client does not like all the apartments in a row. She will come in, stand, sigh hard, quietly say, "I don't like it," and she leaves, letting go of her shoulders. Also sad. So Alice grumbled to her when she refused again yesterday, saying that only the one in the grave would be comfortable. The client cried and called the boss to change her agent. The last drops of warm summer rain dripped. Everything shone, reflecting the bright rays of the sun that looked out of the clouds. But Alice went home, without noticing this beauty and feeling that everything inside her is boiling with irritation. The traffic light was on. All pedestrians were patiently waiting for the green light. And suddenly one old woman, all dismayed, in a shabby coat, came too close to the road, and her stick, on which she leaned, slipped on a wet sidewalk, and the old woman began to fall on the road. Where they were going, in a hurry to slip through the green light of the car. Alice quickly reacted and managed to grab the grandmother, grabbing her from the feet of the faithful death. "Where did you go?" Alice was grumbling, and the old woman smiled at her. "It's not me. It's fate that will take us. You saved me. Now I owe you thanks. I see you need help, Alice. How do you know my name?" She was surprised by the girl. "And I don't need your help," the witch found. "You live wrong, girl. You have a lot of anger." Again the old woman said with a smile, "Because of this anger, you don't see much, and then you are unhappy yourself and take away from others' happiness. I will show you what you can be, and then you will decide how to live further. What did they teach me all my life?" She was angry at Alice and ran across the road until the green light had already been lit for a long time. Anton was at home, but did not want to talk. Alice was even happy about this. She had dinner alone, took a shower, and lay in bed with a book in her hands. The phone rang several times, but the girl did not want to talk to anyone. Soon she did not notice how the anxiety sleep fell through. She dreamed of that old woman. She stood in the dark. She said something out of the blue and moved her arms with her arms stretched out. Alice was scared. She wanted to scream so that the old woman would leave, but she didn't have time. The girl suddenly saw her bedroom, filled with morning light, and realized that she had woken up. Having risen from the bed, Alice noticed that she was wearing jeans and a t-shirt. It can't be. She remembered well how she went to the shower in the evening and lay down in bed, wearing a night jacket. Is this really Anton's jokes? And who is talking in the kitchen? Alice felt that it was boiling again and went to see who it brought in the morning earlier. When she reached the door to the kitchen, she suddenly stopped. The voice of Anton and another female and very familiar was heard behind the door. Alice quietly looked into the door and saw herself. That other Alice was sitting in the night. "I love you very much," he said, holding on, "and I was very happy that we talked and figured it out. You're great, that you listened and understood me. You are the best in the world, and you are my wife." He returned and kissed that Alice, but already in the lips. Alice was cold. She seemed to feel that kiss, but she knew that he was kissing her. She hid in the hall, and Anton left the kitchen. I ran to work. What's going on? Why is her double sitting in the kitchen, dressed in her dress, kissing her husband? Alice's head was spinning from misunderstanding. She leaned against the wall of the corridor and tried to take you in her hands. "Mom, you called me yesterday, but I fell asleep early and didn't hear. I'm sorry, please, are you okay?" Alice heard the door of the kitchen. "Everything is fine with me, don't be afraid, Mommy. Let me run to you today. I missed you so much. We haven't seen each other for a month, even though we live very close." "Yes, Mom, kiss, see you." What is she doing? Alice was outraged. "I don't want to make up with anyone. They only love their Slovaczka. And so goodbye to everyone." Alice clipped her teeth with anger, but she couldn't show herself to that Alice. She was scared. She saw that Anton forgot to close the door and quietly went out to the staircase. Alice decided to follow her double and figure it out. When another Alice left the house, the real one was sitting on the playground and waiting for her to follow. The double headed towards work. Already in front of the office, another Alice ran into that harmful client. The woman wanted to go aside, but another Alice softly stopped her. "Sorry, I was wrong. I'm very ashamed, really. I think you have serious reasons to carefully choose an apartment, right?" The client stopped. She silently looked at that Alice for a few seconds, and, apparently, believing her, she suddenly glared. "My daughter recently died. Tanya, they were twins. Tanya and Lisa. She has a rare allergy to some construction material. Something smelled in our old apartment. I smelled it, but I didn't think it would bring us such trouble. And she was only 3 years old, you know?" The woman wiped her tears, rolled up to thin, colorless lips and sighed. "So I'm looking for an apartment without this smell. I'm afraid for Liza, but apparently he's already looking for it everywhere. I don't know what to do. Everything will be fine with your Liza, you will see," Elisa softly said. "You know, we have a wonderful small house on sale in the suburbs. There is even your yard, and it's not expensive. Do you want to see?" "House?" the woman asked in surprise. "I don't know. I'll call my husband now." "May I?" "Well, of course," another Elisa smiled. "I'll wait." The client called her husband, and in a minute, she looked up at Alice's burning eyes. He agreed to look, but tomorrow, okay, we'll go with him. When the client, hot, thanking another Alice for understanding, quickly went down the street, the real Alice felt how. Somewhere in her soul the feeling of guilt moved. She felt sorry for this unfortunate woman who lost her child. But Alice hurt her badly, saying about the grave. "But I didn't know." She wanted to calm herself, but she didn't really succeed, because she didn't want to know. Alice stood, hiding behind a tree, and saw that another Alice didn't go to the office. Instead, she called on the phone. She apologized to the boss for yesterday's incident. She said that she talked to the client and asked for tomorrow. Judging by the conversation, the boss was no longer angry. Then Alice called her mother, promised to come soon, and went out on a light hike. The real Alice hid like a bad spy behind a pole, and the trees followed. Alice realized that it looked funny, but no one from the passers-by paid attention to her, and she calmed down. Suddenly Alice saw those going to meet Anton and Natasha. They laughed loudly. Natasha had a large bouquet of flowers in her hands. Anton carried a beautiful box and a gift box. Alice almost choked with outrage. Here we were going to spend the evening together with you today. Let's watch some comedy. Right, darling? Natasha smiled sadly, looking at them. You are happy, Alice. Your husband is next to you, and my boyfriend has been in the hospital for 2 months already. After the accident, we were supposed to have a wedding a month ago. Now they have moved it. He dreams of dancing with me at the wedding. And he dances. He is like this. You are invited in advance. Did Anton tell you? He's cool. He helped us get very rare medicine. Alex said that he was already considered his best friend. For now. Oh, they're waiting for us. It was nice to meet you. Anton and Natasha waved at that Alice and left quickly, not noticing the real Alice, who felt very awkward again. Why didn't I listen to him right away? I was just jealous. And he is the best for me. She smiled, but immediately got scared. How can I return to my life now, if her double has already lived through it? Another Alice was already walking towards her mother's house, and Alice hurried after her. Suddenly the double turned around. She was scared, looked around the street, looking at the faces of the passers-by. But Alice, who had died literally 5 meters from her, did not see her, did not even look at her. Having calmed down, another Alice went further. Alice stood for a few seconds, afraid to move. She didn't understand anything. Then she suddenly turned to the random passerby and greeted him loudly. The passerby did not respond in any way, like others, to whom Alice was already desperate. No one saw her. Alice panicked again, but still rushed to run with her double. When the other Alice climbed to the 3rd floor and stretched her hand to the door of her mother's apartment, she quickly burst out. Apparently, Mom had been waiting for her daughter for a long time. Come in, little fox. Mom smiled like in childhood. You are so beautiful today. Oh, there is your favorite pie. It is burning. She screamed and ran to the kitchen. The other Alice laughed and rushed to help her mother, forgetting about the front door. The real Alice went into the apartment and stood at the door in the kitchen. She was no longer afraid that she would be seen. Daughter, I'm so glad you forgave me. Slavik also was excited, wanted to renounce his grandmother's apartment, said that his sister was more important to him. He wants to give you his dacha, which his parents gave him as a gift, in exchange for your share of the apartment, but you didn't even want to hear him. Mom, his dacha is worth more than the whole apartment. Why? Shockingly, another Alice asked. It's a pity to sell his grandmother's apartment. You grew up in it. All the neighbors are there, like relatives. And Slavik will soon have a child girl. Great. Mom, let's drink tea with a pie. And I'll talk to Slavka tomorrow. The real Alice was standing in the kitchen and crying. How the wife had not noticed anything before. That she has such a loving husband, caring brother, and the best mommy. Why was she so angry and cruel? After all, in order to be happy, she just had to be obedient. Why did she understand it so late? Alice went into the room and sat on her mother's old sofa. When she was little, she loved to swing on it, and also with Slavka. He caught her all the time so that she would not fall. So he took care of his sister. The brother is generally kind, attentive. So he works now as a physics teacher. Of course, his students love him. All teachers respect him. But what kind of salary is there? It's not enough to rent an apartment there. Alice sat and, through tears, looked at such familiar old photos, hung by her mother on the walls. And suddenly her gaze fell on her father's photo. Dad was on the sidewalk. People were passing by, and he stood and looked sadly into the lens, as if he knew that he would not be a father in a year. Alice smiled at her father, as if she wanted to cheer him up, and then noticed an elderly woman in a shabby coat behind him. It was that old woman. Alice began to suffocate and lost consciousness. Alice, she felt someone tickle her nose. Get up, I have to go. And you still don't wake up for Sonia. Anton kissed Sleepy. Allison laughed. Breakfast on the table, dinner with you. Don't forget. The husband left, and Alice was afraid to open her eyes. Where is she? Who is she? Opened one, looked in her bedroom. Opened the second. She was in the night shed. Then she quickly jumped in. She got herself ready and went to work. The boss was already there. You're so early today. Alice, I like how you've changed. And the client is delighted with you. I think it's time to raise you. Come to me after lunch. We'll discuss. Alice opened her mouth to answer, but she couldn't say anything. Was it really not a dream? She dialed her brother's number. Hello, sister. She heard a joyful voice of glory. My mom told me you wanted to talk to me. Let's meet in the evening. Where? Slava. Let's all go to Mom's place. You and your family, me and Natasha. And let's invite Grandma. Let's make a little holiday. I'll cook a chicken with tobacco. You're a beauty. I'll call Tanya. Make her happy. And also, Slava, don't give it to me. Better take the kids there. You need it more. Alice walked down the street. She was very easy and joyful. She realized how great it is to be happy and to give others even a little bit of happiness. And suddenly she became very anxious. She looked at herself sharply and saw herself in jeans and t-shirts with huge, frightened eyes. Then Alice was accidentally pushed by some passerby. She shook off, and when she looked back again, except for I haven't seen anyone else, Alice is probably dead. Or not. Subscribe to the channel. I will be grateful for the like under the video. See you soon.